Ladies and gentlemen, Heavy Metal History Podcast, new episode here. We got Joey, we got Sean, members of From a Second Story Window. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to us.
Welcome to us.
Welcome to come.
Fuck
Yeah.
it, turned off.
It did turn off.
Dude, if you got to get that going. Imagine the views.
Yeah, I love
Well,
it.
I know. I think it's just automatic default that it goes out because kids joy. I'll have to change it every time. I'm
Well,
glad.
guys, first of all,
Yeah,
thank you for taking the time to do this, man. Seriously,
absolutely.
this is great. We're gonna talk a little bit about the history of your first EP, but
Okay.
before that, the thing that I like to start with, and Joey, we'll start with you since you're first on my screen here. I like to know your personal heavy metal history, like those records and bands that kind of got you into the genre and how it evolved to where you're at now.
Okay. Well, I really didn't like music too much when I was younger. My brother would play guitar on like a tape, and the first heavy metal song I listened to was Dawkins. Uh, Dream Warriors because I like Freddy Krueger a lot.
Oh hell yeah!
Um, yeah, so like that was the first song I liked just because it was in a Freddy movie. Um, really, fast forward to like when I was like 11 or 12, when I stopped playing with toys, a neighbor introduced me to Marilyn Manson. Um, so that really got me into that kind of stuff. So for a long time, I just like really just freaky makeup wearing people for the gimmick. I mean, I like Marilyn Manson for a long time, but from there, kind of evolved into heavier stuff, Deftones, new metal, Slipknot, you know, all that shit. And
Yeah,
then, I mean, everybody who listened to that stuff, I think their threshold into the next stuff was like, for us was Chimera because it was like
mm,
drop A tuning, fast trilling with the bass drum. Then after that, what was heavier was Poison the Well, and it just kept evolving. Converge. I got into Converge really early, um, which is kind of weird because I don't. Not many younger kids like that kind of stuff. I think. I mean, maybe they did, but I don't know. Not
yeah,
the kids I was friends with. I sat at a table and lunch with like a bunch of pop punk kids, which was fine. We all got along. Uh, uh, then from there, I mean, we just I don't know. My musical interests are all over the place. They're
yeah.
not that interesting. They're just like everybody else. I was really trying to think of some Mark Twain fucking shit to say, but like I want to be transparent and I want it to be truthful. I don't want to fucking lie and be like I had the demo, fucking
Yeah.
because that's not true. And
Whoa.
who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares?
Whoa, whoa,
Um,
you got what?
no. And from there, just kept evolving. There was a really awesome venue in Youngstown, close to where I grew up, which I'm basically here now, that had a ton of really awesome, sludgy, doomy stoner bands that I think
Oh hell yeah!
I was too young to fucking appreciate. And then by the time the club closed down and burned down, it was gone, and I was already into those bands. So, from there you get into like Electric Wizard, you get into like slow shit. Now I can't stop listening to surf rock and like folky banjoy shit. So that's the kind of stuff I'm listening to all day, every day.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
because to be honest with you, I think surf rock is just uh, black metal with no distortion vocals. Because I mean, they're just
I was gonna say yeah. They Tremolo picked the shit out of stuff.
yeah, yeah. But that's my awesome history.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat as you, man. I was listening to a lot of those bands like at a young age, and nobody else in my school or like really in my friend group was into that stuff. So it's like I always felt like the odd man out, being like, "Oh, I'm 15 and I love Converge," and they're like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot a big one, and I don't really like them as much today. And I don't really think I grew out of them. I just think that I maybe just grew out of them. But like uh from my stage from Marilyn Manson to heavier stuff was Cradle of Filth. When
Oh
Cradle
hell
of
yeah,
Filth was really scary, um, they got me to like dye my hair black and wear makeup to school and all that shit. Um, so that was a big thing. And I mean, this is just kind of like a claim to fame, but like a couple years ago, my print company got to print all of their tour merch for uh I
nice.
can't remember who they were on tour with, but like I printed stuff that I wore when I was 14. So I was like printing myself a lot of that shit from Cruelty and the Beast.
Oh, the early, oh man, that's yeah, those are
Yeah,
some good prints, man. There's some wild
yeah.
ones out there. If you ever look on like secondary market,
Oh
there's some
yeah,
like one-offs that are like fuck man, I saw one for like $500 and I was like,
yeah.
Jesus.
It,
The print,
it could have been the original Jesus is the cunt one because we did
yeah.
that one with the nun on it. But yeah, the original one I've seen for like 500-600 bucks or more.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Yeah,
were one of my like early bands too. Fuck.
yeah,
Such good stuff.
yeah.
Well, Sean, let's move on to you, man. Let's get some of your heavy
Yeah.
metal history.
So heavy metal history. So yeah, man, I had some rowdy ass uncles growing up. They went through some different periods of music themselves. I remember clearly they started to transition over to like going to country bars and dance bars and shit like that. And so they had all this vinyl that they didn't listen to anymore. So they gave me like all their old Metallica vinyl,
Whoa.
Black Sabbath vinyl, like I mean like originals and shit. Yeah, exactly. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, like let me put this on my little Fisher Price record player and see what it sounds like. So that was like the first introduction. So listening to like, holy shit, what is this? Because before that, I think it was like Michael Jackson, honestly, and like other things that I could put on my little record player that my mom would get me. So I was like, wow, this is totally different. This was right around about like 11, 12 years old. And I was like, I'm into this. This is really fucking cool. I went to school at an all Catholic school from, I would say, ages like little guy to like eighth grade. So
Mhm.
we were always looking for like that music that is like super rebellious, anyways. So I just remember, like, similar to Joe, like we got really big into Marilyn Manson back in the day. I absolutely shaved my eyebrows off back in the day. I absolutely tried to make my hair look like Daisy Berkowitz. Like I did all these things as I'm at this school, and people are just like, "What the fuck is wrong with this kid?" So like, that was basically the start of it. Beyond that, I remember like it's yesterday walking into my friend's house, and he's like, "Yeah, Marilyn Manson was cool as fuck, but let me show you this." And it was Morbid Angel Covenant.
Mm.
And the reason he had that was because it was featured on Beavis and Butthead. If you remember,
Yep.
like this is way, way back in the day. And they're like, ripping on the bow to me splendidly part in the fucking song. And like, so he went out and bought the CD and we listened to it. And I'm like, holy shit, this is great. Like, this is really where I want to be. I love this kind of heavy music. I'm really interested in this. Beyond that, then I went to high school, but then like, being I was like a little dumb skateboard kid that had my dumb little mix tapes that I made from radio and just recorded shit and found whatever from like the what is it, the local heavy music station. But then sitting at lunch with some kids one day, it was mostly like all this straight edge crowd. They were like, check this out, check out Earth Crisis, check out
Ooh.
Donuts. Check out like yeah, all these things that I had never heard before, and I never had been introduced to like punk or hardcore. And then of course back then they had the Victory mailer, so they had like the little catalog to showcase like all the similar bands that were out there as well. And I ordered everything, like I ordered
Oh
anything
shit.
I could get, like so any allowance that I ever had, any chores that I ever did, I just bought all of these cool things like that. And just listened to them for such a long time. And then just kind of merged from that. I still loved like things like Slipknot. I still love things like Korn as well. I remember that same uncle that gave me all the vinyl was like, "Hey, you ever heard of Korn, brother?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I've heard of Korn." He's like, "We're going to a concert." And so he took me to this Korn show, and opening up for them was their first tour was Limp Bizkit.
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh.
I got to see
Wow.
that, like, it was the tour was Limp Bizkit, Helmet, and Korn. And I just
Damn.
remember hearing Korn and just being like, this is the heaviest shit I've ever heard in my life. Like you could feel it in your chest the whole time.
Hmm.
And, just had a love for music ever since then, and just especially like heavy music for sure.
Yeah, those compilation CDs were like a godsend back in the day because it was like, oh,
Hmm.
you got a taste of everything that was on this one label, and you could be like, okay, I love this band, this band, this band, this one maybe not so much yet.
Yeah.
And then you just go down the record store and be like, okay, where are these bands? And just give me the records, I will buy them.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I those
There was one
victory
thing I
ones.
forgot to mention.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go.
So there's like things that are kind of popping in my brain right now too, and I'm not going to elaborate on it. But like when I was really into like Cradle of Filth and Emperor and some of those other bands, I was on the scarier side. So I really liked scary, atmospheric, dark makeup wearing music. When I first tried to get my taste of like death metal, I was with National, like in Ohio, there was a chain CD place called National Record Mart. I'm not sure if they were nationwide or what, but then it became FYE and everything. But when I was about 12 or 13, we went in there, and I don't condone this, but I mean I was fucking 12 or 13. But there was metal, or not metal, but there were glass slates that were about an inch and a half not touching on the outside of the perimeter of the building. Well, my friend Tim that I was with, who, I mean, he's been in prison off and on his whole life. So I don't know, that's how he got started. But he puts these CDs stacked up against that, and he goes around the store outside and just pulls them through so they don't come out. And what we stole was Deicide, Once Upon a Cross, and I think it was Cannibal Corpse, because I told him to get that because I liked Halloween too, and obviously, like whatever one it was the one that had I Come Blood on it. Anyways, we took him back to his house. He was kind of religious. So as soon as we bust open Once Upon a Cross and sees Jesus gutted, he just broke it in half. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, give it a fucking whirl. And then, so I ended up getting Cannibal Corpse, but I didn't really like it then because I liked the scarier stuff, and I thought that stuff was more like football player metal. As dumb as that sounds, because I like it more now than the scary stuff. Anyways,
Man, I'm surprised like nobody saw you guys like trying to sneak that stuff through. That's kind of
I mean,
brilliant.
it was a busy mall. I mean, maybe they did, maybe, but like I don't know. We were young kids, so maybe they weren't allowed to say anything. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Also, what a
I
bad
didn't do it. I was scared. Yeah, yeah.
Let's make cracks so people can just slide stuff through there. Jesus.
I don't think they anticipated that. But yeah, sorry.
So where I kind of want to start with this, kind of going back, I know this is 20 years ago, so memories, it's hard to remember stuff. I get it. As far as like the beginnings of the band and kind of where the music scene was at the time, how enmeshed were you guys in that as far as like starting the band and like being in a local scene and stuff?
You want me to go first?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
sorry.
gonna say, if you want to go way back.
I guess that would make sense. Yeah, we started off as a new metal band when we were like 15 or 16. I worked at a haunted house, and I was in the mall before I had to work that night. And I met our original singer, Jeff, in Hot Topic. And I was like, hey, man, do you sing, whatever? He said, yeah. And I have a guy that plays guitar. And I'm like, oh, we don't really need a guitar player. And he goes, oh, okay. And we started talking. He's like, well, he has a half stack. And we're like, oh, fuck, we don't have half stacks. We have combo amps. So, yeah, that sounds great. And so I went to the haunted house that night, and then we actually had a practice, I think, a week later, and it wasn't great. We just started playing and trying to rip off some of the new metal bands we were into, but that's how that started. And we did start playing, and we got better. I mean, we always tried to play with local bands that were pretty decent, even though we suck. But I think the only way to get better is to play with people who are better than you, because you're going to always think you're the best. We have had that recognition and humbleness kicked in our teeth a couple of times when we kind of became like one of the bands that drew the most in the area, even as young as we were. Played a couple of hardcore shows in Cleveland when we were trying to transition out of new metal, and fuck, we got heckled and made fun of. And I remember coming home from a show we played, I think Nora played and some other bands, and it was just disastrous. Like, we had swooshy pants on. We thought we were gonna make a fucking impact, and we sure did. I mean, I'm surprised we were ever allowed to come back. But we got better and better, and we listened to better and better bands, and wanted to try to just change our sound and be organic with it, not rip anybody off. And that took a lot of time, to be honest. But when we started doing that, we started noticing a lot more want for us to play in further places, and so that was awesome. And we recorded a 2-song demo that we basically were just going on Lambgoat every day saying, hey, if anybody wants this for free. I was burning them on my computer that I bought with graduation money, and we were sending them out. One of the ones we sent that in a shirt to was, God, I can't remember his fucking name now, but it was one of the original guitar players of Architects in England. And when we toured with them in England with the Red Chord, he was wearing the shirt, and he's like, that's how he got into us. And I was like, holy fucking shit. He unfortunately passed away, but I don't know. That wasn't like a name drop thing, but that was just like kind of like a really cool thing. But
yeah, absolutely.
From then on, we wrote those 5 songs. we recorded them ourselves. We paid for it ourselves. We actually released it ourselves like two times. Like the first one had a purple printout sticker that we put on it, and then I was the only one in the band with a credit card, so I used my credit card to get screen printed uh, CDs from disc makers. And back then, you didn't have to enter your credit card info in; you just kind of called them, because that was like probably 2003. I don't know. Regardless, they lost my credit card info, but I got all the CDs, and they
Oh
never
shit.
charged me. Yeah, I still have the original ones. That was the Cassandra Complex. Then that got remastered when Black Market took it over, and it's slightly different version. That the Cassandra Complex was a little more less compressed, airy, and not it didn't hit as hard. But in a nutshell, I mean, we did play a ton of shows. Everything was self funded. We had this death trap of a van that we've taken so many places that
The toasted
I don't know.
marshmallow.
Yeah, I don't know how we didn't die. I know I'm leaving some stuff out, so I'm sure Sean could elaborate more. But yeah, I mean, basically
Yeah.
from new metal band kids to transitioning into younger adults, playing heavier stuff and more validated original stuff rather than just, whatever.
Yeah, Sean, what was your kind of perspective on everything when you were like when everybody was working on all the material and stuff?
Yeah, man. So the story from my vantage point, yeah, it's a little different. So, I mean, definitely remembering a lot of it. It kind of comes and goes, but the things that I remember, especially like how I even met these guys, that story in itself is a pretty. I got it. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
Joey speed ran everything. He was like,
he
"Oh,
did,
man.
but as he was speaking, all of it, all the shit was popping back up in my head. So I got it. I
See?
got it.
are you just
Yeah, thank
cheating
you.
and reading your Wikipedia page?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Which got updated recently because there had all of our goofy nicknames. Did you see that? Like I had all our nicknames on there and then they all got taken away. So I don't know. Like
Uh,
I like the nicknames. But anyways, oh shit. What I was gonna say is when back in that day, before I was in the band, they had the first singer, which was Jeff. And I used to book shows all around, where I'm from is Newark, Ohio. It's like a suburb of Columbus. But really got some good, decent shows starting in, I think in Columbus area. And I think Joe was the comic book shop, if you remember
Yeah.
that.
Midgard Comics.
Yeah. So, and that
We
show, if
played
I
there with
remember
Curl Up and
correct,
Die too.
you played there.
Yeah,
Yep.
remember?
And I think before I was in it, the one that I saw you guys was you guys, and what Remembering Never. I think when they
Yeah.
were first starting out, like as Remembering Never. So that show got booked, and they gave me the 2-song demo, and I was like, holy shit, these guys, like, this is way different. Like, this is real fresh sounding. Like, I really, really like what I'm hearing here. So I'm gonna stay in contact with those guys and try to book them again, anyways. Well, fast forward, I would have to, not a lot of great shows would ever come to Columbus. So I would have to travel to Cleveland quite a bit anyways to see shows. And speaking of which, Cleveland is very rough from a heckler standpoint. So yeah, when Joe was talking about that shit's real.
yeah,
Um, and I've been heckled on stage with them, but they're all in good fun. They're really fun guys. I really like the Cleveland scene for sure. But thinking about the one show that kind of brought us together was when Norma Jean was doing their tour without their singer, and I think it was
oh shit,
Josh had just left. So in this night particular, it was a night where they're like, "Fuck it, we're still gonna play." So they're like, "The mic is yours. You guys come on up." And there's YouTube video of it, and it's just chaos, and everyone's going on stage and just like taking the mic until I think it's Scotty or one of them is like, "Stop, we're gonna elect a singer. Let's figure this out." And then like I don't remember how that part happened, but I was elected to sing with
okay,
Norma Jean that night. So in short, like I was able to do that with them, had fun with them. I knew some of the lyrics, but I just knew just to go ape shit with Norma Jean. So that was fun. Well, these guys, some of them were out there. I think Joe, you were there. I think maybe who else? Maybe
I
Rob.
filmed the whole thing.
Yeah.
oh
So it's
shit,
out there.
Yeah.
So, and then,
I was like,
that
we
we just
need
kept
that guy.
yeah. So, we talked about it even after the show, like, holy shit, that was fucking awesome. And I'm like, dude, what are you telling me? Like, I don't even know what just fucking happened. Like, I just got up there and just did stage dives and bullshit like that. But, it was fun, really, really good time. And we stayed in contact. And then, I think it was maybe a couple months even afterwards, Joe calls me and is like, hey, what would you think about actually joining our band? And I'm like, well, what happened? And it sounded like, the other singer had stepped aside. There was still the two songs that I kind of knew of already from the demo. And then I think you lime wired me or some bullshit. The other three, like, so I could
Yeah,
hear it.
yeah,
And I remember I was working at Hot Topic at that point. I had my little Hot Topic notebook that I used to take inventory with. Flipped it all the way to the back and started writing lyrics for the Cassandra Complex, and
that's sweet.
just locked in three songs. Shortly after that, a couple weeks after that, went up and recorded them. And then yeah, I mean, as Joe kind of explained the rest of it, that kind of merged into a couple different records, or another record beyond that got remastered. Guy from Black Market really took it under the wing and made it into what it is today. So a lot of great support back then after that.
So when you guys were, or I guess this is probably for Joe, when you kind of first initially were like working on those songs, how much stuff did you have like prepared, ready to go? Like, because you guys have been around for a while at that point, but like you mentioned, like evolving and everything. But as far as like
Oh, we
nailing
had,
down the
yeah.
Cassandra Complex stuff.
So, like I said, it's all the same recording from the same studio, which we
Hmm.
recorded in uh, oh fuck, it was in Cleveland by a kid named Cole. I can't remember for the life of me for his studio, but like, and it was in his parents'
Conquistador
basement.
Studios.
What was it?
Conquistador Studios. I remember it because it was like a Nine Inch Nails reference.
Uh-huh.
He told
I
me
don't think that's right.
it.
It was
That's the
it was
name of his
something
studios.
simple. Maybe now.
Maybe yeah, maybe afterwards. But I remember
Yeah.
him like talking about that.
It.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look at it. But anyways, we already had the songs. They were already recorded. We drove up to North Olmsted like a couple days a week, and recorded everything, including the old 2 song demo stuff. So basically, when we gave the 5 songs to Sean, we were already jamming them in our cars for a very long time because I think, to be honest with you, and my memory's kind of foggy, about that time. Like, I think our singer came up with us a couple times, but kind of was not really sure of himself on some of it. So I think that's kind of when like we all kind of were like, I don't know if this is gonna work. And but we had the songs recorded, and we had a good recording for Sean to listen to kind of sing along to. And when I first heard the first takes of him like putting stuff to it, like even like just live at practice, because we didn't have a way to demo them back in the day.
Right.
We were like, holy shit. We were like, this is fucking insane. I didn't think that it could be like this. So then, yeah, that's kind of just how it went. You
So
moved up
Sean,
from Columbus too.
yeah, yeah. I dropped it all. I mean, I remember telling work like, "Hey, got some shit going on. Like, I'm gonna move on
Yeah,
up." And I moved in with the other guitarist that's no longer in the band at that point, and just like yeah, lived in his spare room, and that it became the like that was my everyday, like just the
yeah.
band. So
Just has to stay on.
here come.
I don't normally
now,
drink on podcasts.
Whoa!
Yeah, just kidding.
Something I was just gonna say too. I mean, even about that recording, like I even like as a demo, I remember hearing it too. Like what was out back then, and just like the quality of it, dude. It sounded so fucking good. I remember hearing it and being like, again, like this fucking band, like this shit is really, really, really good. It's gonna be fun. And just hearing it and like the quality of it and all that, like I was super stoked to get onto that. But I mean, yeah, it just the like I keep thinking of like Nick's drumming and like
Mhm.
just like how intense he was in the drumming and like just everything like Joe's bass tone like all this stuff. It's shit I had not heard before, but I'm like this is coming into into a whatever the new wave of metalcore was like whatever that was back then. So I was just super stoked to be on something like that.
I don't feel like it was reinventing any kind of wheel or anything like that. It was just kind of just, I don't know. I mean, that's cool for you to say, but like,
Yeah,
I thought, I don't know. I thought we were just playing songs. We were all on the same page when we wrote those songs, basically.
yeah, yeah, oh, yeah.
So that
I
and
guess
that's cool.
like yeah. Like just like and maybe I might be different like if I was there at the inception of it, but yeah, it definitely like just hearing it and like getting started with it, I was like, because all the bands that I'd only been in maybe shit. I think I was in a one band before that, which was fun, but this was just a different style, like that I really
Yeah.
something I always wanted to be a part of, basically.
So when we wrote those songs and we started playing with bands like from the early 2000s, um, that's when I got introduced to like bands like Orchid, Page 99. Even though we don't sound like any of those bands, a lot of the bands we were playing with were kind of like that. And then when we started playing with like Number 12 Looks Like You, there were more. When all those bands broke up, that's when like we started touring, and it was just like, fuck,
Yeah.
missed our fucking chance. But then, you know, I don't know, like, but that kind of, us playing that kind of music, kind of being introduced to like bands like Pig Destroyer, because Scott Hall was the one who mastered that EP, and some of those other bands like that got me personally kind of more away from metal stuff and more into the spazzier, crazy, chaotic other stuff, you know.
I mean, I do agree with Sean here in that like when that EP came out, there really, I mean, there were bands that kind of sounded like that, but there really wasn't a whole lot, not like there is today. Um, and I think it, again, the way it was mixed and recorded and everything lent it to that sound of everything, and it just that whole package of it was like, well, damn, this is for 2003, 2004. This is very unique to what at that time. Besides like a hand, just a small handful of bands that were come up around then too. So
Well,
I think you're
cool.
doing yourself a disservice. I'm saying.
Well, maybe it's imposter syndrome. I don't fucking know.
Well,
Yeah,
and
no, I
even
get that.
like I was gonna say one thing that we always talk about too. Remember, like, and Joe knows about this. Like, we talk about this a lot. Like the car test. So we'll talk
Uh-huh.
about like if we recorded something like just real recently, and like what does it sound like in the car? Like get in the car and like
Yeah,
turn that shit up. And like I remember doing that with that demo. Like, oh yeah, it's just great.
right, right.
Yeah, I mean, that was the other thing I kind of wanted to like pick your guys' brains about as far as like other bands, not necessarily in a comparison way, but like other bands that were coming up around that time. Metal itself was kind of evolving, and MySpace was blowing up. How did you kind of see yourselves in that when everything was just kind of happening around you?
You go first, Sean.
Oh, as far as like like how did we feel like we fit into that
Yeah,
or
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I remember like, when we were on our small tours that we were playing and like, bumping into bands like I think about yeah, like Flesh and Blood Robot, like,
Yeah.
which of course now, good friends of ours, also of course Fox and moving on to see you next Tuesday, but those were things that were I remember like, wow, there's other bands kind of similar out like us that are out there and they're doing their thing, but they're doing it their way. And so I'd be super stoked to hear like, what's this state doing? What's this state doing? Like, and again, like back then, like we did have like MySpace and shit, but there wasn't really like a lot of ways to get music out quickly or like sharing demos the way that you can now. So
Yeah.
like our first experience to most of these bands are in person. So, you're hearing it live, like you're not hearing it in headphones. You're taking away what you can from it. But I think back then it was all about, and Joe can probably attest to this too, it was all about like, what did the stage performance look like? Like, how fucking crazy did you go? So like that was every night for us, like, okay, like holy shit, like they just went fucking off. Like we better show up tonight. Like and I just like looking at that, but like that would charge me up. And I know it would same with Joe too. Like we'd get super excited about that. The music itself, it was, things like when we made our way out to play with like Number 12 Looks Like You, and then like Ion Dissonance, playing with Ion
Mhm.
Dissonance, I'm like, holy fuck, like how technical can you
Remember that
get? But
trailer? Remember that trailer we played in the middle of
yeah,
Michigan somewhere?
yeah,
We played in
which
the
is
kitchen of a trailer.
that's also on
No
YouTube as
way.
well. I found that we found that
Yeah,
the other. So
I'm
we're
gonna
we're
look for it right into this conversation. See
put
if
it
we
right
like.
in there, dude.
oh,
It's
Yeah.
dude, it was.
it was so fun. We played that because what, a show got canceled or something.
Yeah, and some kid was like, "Have it on my farm."
Yeah.
And we're like,
Wow.
"Yeah,
So
yeah."
what was fucking so cool about that show, like what he's talking about is absolutely correct. It was such a small confined a place, but we're like, well, how can we bring our like live chaos that we play like each night
Yeah.
into this little place while not disrespecting this dude's fucking double wide? And so like, we're doing that. And then if you look in the back, like you'll see like all these people standing outside of the house looking through the window. Like that's how they're watching the show. So was an awesome experience. But yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, that I think, like, getting back to the question, like, how did we fit into that? I think we fit in pretty good. I think, we were taking away and learning a lot from other bands as we played. It
Yeah.
was we came prepared with what we had, but again, like, we were evolving as we were watching, like, the metalcore scene and the metal scene, as it were, coming up. So just in the moment, like, just living in the moment for that kind of shit.
Yeah, that was anything we ever did that was crazy wasn't like trying to be showboaty or anything like that. We were really just feeling it a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like this I hate the word visceral because I'm not trying to sound like Slipknot or anything like that. But like I've always felt this like if I'm super vulnerable in front of people, whether it's talking, a speech or whatever, I gotta make sure that I'm okay with looking like a fucking idiot. And even if I'm like freaking out, even if I'm missing notes, if I break a bass string, I was just really fucking feeling it. Like that was like
Yeah.
a huge outlet for me. I was a pissed off kid growing up, and that's not trying to sound like a hard ass. I got in a lot of fights. I won a lot of fights. I lost a lot of fights. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that, but like when we were playing, it was like um, it was like ashwagandha. It's like calm me the fuck down. Like it was, like I don't know. It was like a meditation of some kind that you
Yeah.
just fucking were sweaty and gross afterwards. You were too exhausted to be pissed off. You're too exhausted to be mad. Too exhausted to be sad or happy even. I don't know. It was that's really what we look forward to, and seeing other people kind of reflect that same energy was really awesome. Now I'm not going to tell you that I didn't see some crazy bands that inspired me. Like that's really fucking awesome. I remember one time we played with Dillinger Escape Plan
Yeah.
at in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and they were allowed to pull down the heating ducts when they were playing because they were going to get rid of them anyways. When I saw that, I was like, "Holy fucking shit!" And then he shit on stage one time when they were playing this one show. He just head walks across the whole fucking crowd like when
Yeah.
they first went into it. I was like, I'll never be able to do that, but I'm gonna try really fucking hard to come close to it. Like, holy shit! Like, it was so inspiring. So, like, I wasn't trying to copy; it was just really inspiring.
Yeah. Hey, Dillinger's literally one of my favorite bands of all time. I flew to New
Yeah,
York to see all their final shows, and like, man, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
they
I had
never ever put a bad show on.
no, like when I was younger, I had Under the Running Board, and then that album before it with the baby doll head that's like purple.
Yeah,
Um,
I still have that album.
yeah, I can't find it anywhere. I think it might have even got stolen in someone's car one time. But um, yeah, when I listened to those albums, I was like, I don't know even what they're doing. I'm not a good enough guitar player or bass player to even comprehend this. I just know I really like it. And later on in life, I can understand it a little bit more the better I got. But still, no, can't even hold a candle to that shit. But still, I understand it a little bit more now. Like since I've
It's
had a couple
jazz.
math classes. Yeah, yeah,
That's all it is,
yes,
man. Yeah, he's I don't know. I've only like met and talked to him like once, but his play style seems very like jazz influenced. So I would love to know like what his actual like playing like learning style is like. But yeah,
yeah.
we're not here to talk about Ben Wyman.
Sure, whatever. That's what you think.
I was gonna ask
That's
Sean.
what you think, weather boy.
All right. This is actually now the
I'm
Ben
just
Wyman
kidding.
podcast,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
let's
exactly. Yeah.
get it out there.
Run it.
All right.
Sean, I was gonna ask, you were talking about writing your lyrics and everything earlier when you got the demos. How quick did you do that? Like, were you like doing them at work? It's kind of what it sounded like, but like, what was your
Yeah,
like process, man?
it's a great question because I mean, Joe, like I think the time frame was like it was short, wasn't it? Like I know.
Yeah.
Basically, it was like, hey, would you like to do this? Also, we still need lyrics for 3 songs because we know we have 2.
Yeah.
Can you knock those out and be up here within like what, a couple weeks? And I'm like, oh shit, okay, can do. So like
And one song was 9.5 minutes long.
yeah,
So it was like 4 songs.
yep. So I remember, just whatever, just online looking for content, cracking open a couple of thesauruses, and like I'm not gonna say that word a couple times. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna say this word instead, and just shit that just sounded fucking cool, like just to scream out. So I'm like, what does that sound like if I scream it? I think that'll work. So Yeah, I mean, I had a small time frame to do it. I know that if you look at it, and I've seen people talk about like, they've analyzed the shit, like I've said in some of those, like, how deep is that, dude? It's not. Like,
Yeah.
there's things that I remember, like, that lyric right there. I can't wait to fucking scream in front of a group of people. I'm gonna say that, and then like I paired it, like it's all kind of broken up little mini thoughts if you look at them. So like I kind of riffed and found a kind of a template that worked, and put some like specifics in there as well for like shit that was happening around me, stuff that had gone through, like any singer would and would do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what came out was like a 2 week timestamp, I think, to get those lyrics done.
Damn.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly those details, but I know it was pretty quick.
It was quick. Yeah, I could have been longer or shorter, who knows? But I just remember I'm like, oh wow, like all right, let's get it done,
Hmm.
and I'll be up there.
I think not everything written about has to be deep. Like, I
Yeah.
I actually really like what you said where it's like I just wanted to scream this really loud. Like why wouldn't I just want to write something that I want to scream? Cuz that
Yep.
you're putting like that emotion to like fuck, I'm going to get in front of a crowd, like why not? Let's give them something to scream.
Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely.
It's a great way to look at it. So, do either of you guys remember? Because I know this is a long time, and I'm kind of like a little bit of a, I guess, gearhead.
Sure.
Do you remember like what you were playing back then, as far as like recording versus live shows, or was it the same stuff?
I'll go first because you just had a mic, Sean. No offense.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You're right.
I'm going to be 100% honest. I had the same bass amp, which was a Gallon Kruger uh, RB3, I think, um, with a Sans amp direct, which gave me, because that amp sounded like garbage. No, I don't know if it was an RB3. No, it was a 1000 RB or something like that. I don't know. It had all the turning knobs though, but it sounded
Yeah.
like shit by itself. And so I had a Sans amp that actually I saw from my buddy Paul from Darkest Hour. He had, and he's like, yeah, this sounds great.
Oh shit.
So I bought one, and I was like, yeah, this does sound great. I've always ran a Boss Overdrive distortion pedal, always a chromatic tuner. I think I had a bunch of shit too that I didn't need. I just wanted to look like a bigger pedal board. Like I had a Rat distortion pedal, an original one, um, that I don't even think had a really good connection. I had a bass chorus pedal that I never used. I had, I think I had four pedals. I thought. I can't remember the other pedal, but
Mhm.
and I always played $200 Ibanez basses or
Fuck yeah.
something similar to it. Yeah, I think the biggest splurge I ever made on a bass back then was an Ergodyne um, four string Ibanez. I had pushback from it because I think the bass player of Orgy had one, which I love Orgy, but I didn't want to look like that. But I saw somebody else have one or something like that. And I was like, that doesn't look that stupid. So I found one on eBay and I bought it like when I was 18. But it's pretty much just cheap $200 Ibanez basses and stuff. And even the bass that I use to this day, which is a Fender Jazz bass, Mexican made with the active pickups, I bought that from the bass player of Light This City for
Oh,
$60
nice.
with a brand new hard case. The reason why he sold it so cheap was because the bass was cracked in half, and I had to put the syringe glue in it, and I had to get it all. I didn't do it, but I had it done so that it would hold our tuning and the string size and everything. But I still use that bass to this day, and I used that amp and setup until our band broke up. I have a different setup now, same
Yeah.
pedals pretty much except for the chorus and everything. But yeah, back in the day, it was the same amp, which I replaced so many fans in, or I had to have a fan behind it so it wouldn't overheat. Um, yeah, I just really was pretty stubborn about not wanting to change it out just because, I mean, didn't really make much money back then. We were selling shirts for $10 a piece. There's no money for people to have band money stuff and buy equipment.
Man, let me tell you. I don't know if you guys, I know you guys are playing shows again and stuff, but have you seen like merch prices lately? They're fucking insane. It's like
I mean, we
60,
print
$70
for
for shirts.
my print company, man. We print for a ton of big bands. We're printing for
Yeah.
Underoath right now. We're printing for, I mean, we print for a lot of bands. And yeah, a regular guild, and I'm not saying Underoath because they get stuff dyed. Anyways, some bands are just doing regular guild in the 5000s that are like a $2, $3 shirt. And I mean, even with a one color print, yeah, 45, $50. hoodies 60, 70. I mean,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, it's insane.
it's a different world.
What's your print company, by the way? You could plug it. Sure.
Okay,
There's people
it's called
listening that might be looking for it. You never know.
right. It's called Gorilla Joe Printing Company
Okay.
in Youngstown. Yeah,
Heck
we
yeah.
print for just I mean mainly we print for bands. We do
Yep.
tour support, big bands, little bands, death metal. I mean, we printed for Jelly Roll's drummer today. Like I said, these aren't name drops. I'm just trying to sound credible because I mean, we're a great print company. I mean, we can,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, but that's yeah. I do see merch prices. We do a lot of online stores, and I mean, we're doing some $60, $70 hoodies right now for like kind of just regular bands, but that people are paying it because
Yeah.
people want it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
that's I mean that's where we're at, I guess.
yeah.
Long gone are the days of $10 shirts.
Oh yeah, 100%. I
Well,
remember the
that
first
like
time.
also. Oh, good.
Oh, I'm sorry. We played with Today's the Day one time, and they had I think $15 t-shirts and $20 long sleeves, and we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And like they were grown men at the time, you know? Like it's like, yeah, they gotta make money. We were 18. I was still in high school. But yeah.
Are you one of the bass players that also plays good? You just like I only play bass, or like like because I know
So
a lot of us get put back and forth.
I prefer just to play bass because um I don't I after our band broke up, I was in two bands. One was called Horses Up People Teeth, and that was like probably a year or two after we broke up. I
Mhm.
sang and I played bass in that band. And then the next band I made was with our original drummer, Jeremy, who was also in Robinson. And that was called Little League. I did play guitar in that band, but basically we were just trying to rip off the band Orchid. Not the stoner sludge band Orchid, but
The
the fast
screamo.
Massachusetts band Orchid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, basically we were just doing blast beats and fast octaves. And but I never really loved writing music. But that was actually really fun. But yeah, I just prefer to play bass.
Yeah, I know. I talk to bass players sometimes, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I started out as a guitar player, and like I still kind of write some guitar when we're like doing stuff." So that's why I was curious if that was the case for you as well.
No, it was way later on in life. I mean, I did have a
Yeah.
guitar when I was little, but I never really got that good at it. And like I just thought my dumb, stupid brain, four strings is better than six. So I was like, let's do it.
So, do you guys kind of remember like once everything was done and recorded, and it was let's just go for like the Cassandra Complex stuff. How long was it after that where it was like Black Market wanted to remaster and re-release the record for you guys?
Sean, I don't remember.
So, I mean, we were running with the Cassandra, copy for a while. Like, I mean, we played a couple little runs, right? I mean, it was we had it out there for a little while. I mean, it wasn't until we met Guy. You remember
So,
now?
dude, okay. So our van, the shitty van,
Yeah, yeah,
we drove it and we as we got into Massachusetts, because we drove from Ohio to Massachusetts, which is like 10 and a half hours
Yeah.
in one day. And like I don't know how our van made it, but like we heard this clunk, 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 clunk. So as soon as we get into Massachusetts, I think it's on a Sunday. Maybe it's a Saturday. I don't know. Our basically our bolts in our wheel ripped through the rim, and there was like a groove. So like it was holding on, but it was like sliding. And we found a shop that either the next day or that night took our van and um, fixed it. They replaced the hub and everything for like $150. We stayed at these two
Damn.
kids' house. Um, I can't remember their fucking names, but the kid actually gave me an original Orchid shirt. But anyways, we stayed at their house, and I think they introduced us to Guy from the Red Chord, possibly. Is that what happened?
I remember. I thought it was Deadwater. I thought didn't we play a show or something with Deadwater somehow beforehand?
Maybe
And
it
I
was that show.
and I remember, I'm pretty sure either Nate from Deadwater or Seth, bass player from Deadwater Drowning, is who I'm referencing, like having him come out to that next show. And it was like, we remember it was like Salem. We played in Salem, Mass.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure that was the one that he actually came out to watch us. And it was because they're like, hey, you should come out and check this band out.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
We played Massachusetts a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll
But I
Okay.
tag
remember having like
Guy.
a little.
I'll make a clip of this and we'll tag Guy in it, and he'll be like, "I know when I met them."
No way. That's not how it fucking happened. You fuckers.
Yeah, he was when I was working for a band, we did a tour with them, and man, I rated so much of the black market stuff he had with him, and the EP was one of them. But I had already
Oh,
had it before then, but I didn't have a physical copy. I was a dirty downloader.
we all were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I did get a physical copy from him, which was awesome. So I got a bunch of
Yeah,
cool shit from him on that tour.
that's awesome.
Oh,
How
when did that happen? Or like when did he take it
Oh
and
yeah,
start
yeah,
to?
yeah. When
yeah,
did yeah
Yeah, I mean,
editing?
it wasn't that far. You're right. It wasn't that far after. I remember we shared that with him when we gave him that demo. And I mean, I remember him like, back then he even said, he's like, this is done pretty well. Like, I mean, it does sound good. Would you guys be open to, seeing what I can do with it? Or like, if I can get it remixed or, I remember him talking to us about that, off to the side. And because, obviously talking about new music down the line, but he was like, you guys already have something here that I can share out. And I mean, people are starting to really get into these songs. I mean, you guys are getting some pretty decent turnouts. Why reinvent the wheel with that? Like, let's see what we can do with this release we have right here. And like Joe said, he sent it out to Scott Hall was the one who I think remixed it or mastered it.
mastered, I believe.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And then I don't think like no like like changes happened though, right? Like he didn't like
No,
yeah, yeah. Okay, he just mastered it. Yeah. And then just released it with the packaging. Yeah, you hear upstairs.
asshole.
And then at the time too, the person that was doing artwork was Adam Wentworth, the bass player of the Red Chord at the time. So
Yep.
he did the packaging for he repackaged it with the Not One Word layout, and then yeah, sent it out there. So
I think we called it that because we didn't change anything.
oh yeah, I think so too.
That's pretty clever.
I remember
Yeah,
that.
I think we came up with that too.
Hmm.
We're the band. I really think I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know.
it was a practice discussion. I remember it, like how it popped up. Yeah,
Cool,
absolutely. I remember that
cool.
one.
All right, so after that happens, it's all out there in the world. Everything's done with it. Where does the band like? What are you guys trying to do after that? Like, are you just trying to tour full time, writing new material? Like, what's the next step for everybody after that?
We toured on that for a very long time. We we okay. I loved how gritty and shitty we were about everything. Without getting into any kind of financials, we went on some tours that we knew were going to be really, really great opportunities for like next to nothing money wise. Funded everything, lost money, but were put in front of a lot of people who liked us or started liking us. And that's how any business grows. Like, you have to look at a band as a business a lot of times. And I think that's what we did without knowing it because, you know, and touring, if you're not making money, is a fucking young man's game. Like we
Right.
hardly we in a month long tour, we probably maybe stay in one or two hotels because it was an overnight drive, and we were so reluctant to spend $100 on a hotel room was for six people. But a shower, I would always beg to sleep in the middle of the beds on the floor because it was my own space and like I wanted my own space, and you don't get that in the van. Um, so it was just tour, 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 and it was like we would we would say yes to almost everything, and that got us to where we like I don't want to say peaked or anything like that, but we'd say yes to everything until we could start to say no to other things for better opportunities. Because I kind of feel like if you just say yes to everything, you're really putting yourself out there to miss a really great opportunity. And when we got to the point where maybe bigger tours were asking us to do stuff, whether it was the first band or middle band or whatever, um, doing those small tours with just local bands, where we maybe play to 10 people, but the next time we come back, it's 30 people. Maybe the next time we come back, it's 100 people. That was always our game plan. And we would kind of just start in the surrounding areas. We always tried it out. We go further and further. I remember by the time I was already out of high school, but Nick graduated a year after me. We were skipping school on Friday, driving to Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, New York or whatever, and then driving back Sunday night just in time for school on Monday. So
Oh
it was
my
always
God.
like yeah, it was always like a thing that we just couldn't wait to do. And as soon as Nick was out of school, we were like, fuck it, we're gone.
I was gonna say, wasn't like one of our first runs like he literally graduated and then we were like on the road the next day.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
I remember that shit.
Yeah.
Him and Paulie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty great. I remember there were a few bands around that time that like a couple of the members were still in high school and they were like, "Oh yeah, we can't tour much because this person has to go to school." And you're like, "Man, what the fuck?
Right.
I'm the same age. What am I doing?"
Yeah. It was never like a long tour. It was always like the weekend commando tour. And
Yeah.
but that really shaped us because it prevented us from going too far to where like I mean people don't remember things. So like if we played Columbus, you know, we played when we first met Sean, maybe it wasn't the first time, but one of the first times we hung out, we played in a blizzard at Midgard Comics. There wasn't any people there. We had to drive home that night. It took all night until fucking 6 a.m. or something like that because it was so bad out. Um, but if we kept just going to different spots or different areas and stuff, I don't think there would have been enough like interest because we weren't coming back, or like those 5 people maybe forgot about us by the next day. But if those 5 people have it still in their brain and we come back a month later, it just kept interest. And I think, the more we played and the more we came, I think it made it a lot better for us to branch out to other places too.
Yeah, which is like the complete opposite of how stuff is now, man. Because
I know.
nobody really had a ton of access to the internet. I mean, it was around obviously, but like you couldn't just automatically go to Spotify and be like, "Oh, I want to listen to from Second Story Window."
Mhm.
And I mean, shows were like pretty sparse back then. I feel like, and for I
Yeah.
don't know, just in my experience, kind of growing up, and I feel like we're all the same age here. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm 40.
I'm 37.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah. I
I'm
graduated in November.
43.
All right, we're close. We're close. We're close.
Yeah. We're three, and three apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Cool, man.
Um. Come.
Yeah, it keeps going
There
off,
we
dude.
go.
I
Come
know.
light. People watching, every time the light comes on, if you are not coming, you are not doing this right.
No, no. Come on. You got to fucking up them numbers.
Those are rookie numbers. Come on, buddy.
Yeah. At least 3 times a week. No, 3 times a day. Anyways. All
Um.
right.
So okay, to segue into other stuff. So Sean, this was the only record you were on, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so perfect segue. You have rejoined the band. You all are working on new stuff. What does the current era of we're sorry, I'm gonna jump back a second. You did a new song in May. Will was still doing vocals then, right? Where did like things kind of happen with Sean coming back?
You want me to go there?
Sure.
Okay. This past year has been like probably one of the best years in our band's history whatsoever. As far as camaraderie between the dudes,
Mhm.
really thinking that we could never relearn the songs, thinking that nobody gives a shit. Like, I mean, Wax Vessel was so fucking persistent in putting out, like the records and stuff like that they put out for us. I think we said no for a good year and a half. Um, Everybody was just kind of like, nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares. Like, why are you doing this? And then we were like, fuck it, let's do it. And there was an insurgence of energy and excitement, and that got us excited. And when we started getting, you know, offers for shows, or at least know that we could play shows that people might come to, that's kind of when we were like, all right, let's do this. I mean, let's really do this. So the last year has been absolutely amazing. It's been pretty tough though. With At first, Paul was still in Austin, Texas. So
Mhm.
whenever we do something and get together, I mean, even for fucking band photos, we got to fly 2 people out just for fucking band pictures. And not that
Jeez.
we weren't making pretty decent money for some of the shows that we did, because we have expenses. This is a hobby still, but I want it to be able to pay for itself and nobody go into debt and be stressed about it, because that's where we were before, and that's why we broke
Yep.
up. So it was like, we can't do that now. we don't need to put food on the table with this kind of stuff, but we just need to break even or at least have enough to be comfortable when we travel. But anyways, over the past year, it seemed like kind of trying on everybody, even the little bit that we toured, and we didn't want to hold anybody back. We didn't want, you know, I said to the guys before, I was like, I don't want to tour very much. So if
Yeah.
I ever hold you back, I could probably find somebody to replace me because I don't want to hold you guys back. That wasn't really a conversation, but I know that he had a lot of family obligations and stuff at home, and we didn't make a decision for him necessarily. We
Right.
just kind of wanted to be like, hey man, like we really don't want to hold you back, and it's not the financials of flying you here. It's nothing like that. It's just I know how much stress it is when he has to come. He has to practice with us. And then he has to go home, fly home. And it's always a day or two after we get to go home. So there's like a 3 day trip turns into a 5 day trip for him.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of like really what happened. And with Sean in the picture and him being in Columbus and him being down to do it, it seemed like the best thing. And he can explain this more, but him and Paul were already working on new stuff to do themselves, to not even necessarily play shows with, but just to record. And
Nice.
yeah, and they started doing some stuff. And when they played that for us, we were like, oh, I mean, it's
Ew.
yeah. With so this past year and then this new stuff that we've been pissing with is like my favorite stuff we've ever done. So like the 2 songs we did with Will, fucking amazing, and these new songs are fucking amazing. I can't wait like for these songs. But yeah, if Sean has anything to elaborate on that too, I mean, obviously, like nobody was kicked out, nobody quit. It was just kind of
Right.
like a means to an end, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even to kind of touch on that too, like, just anytime that there was any availability for me to like pop out and be, near what was going on, like I just wanted to support in the way that I was doing it back then too. I know we did the little run we did to what was it, Brooklyn, Boston. That was a fun show. That was the fused LP from Red Chord when they put that out on vinyl. So I
Yeah.
was able to travel with them to do that. So yeah, just like I mean. I just stayed in touch with them, throughout the whole thing. And then I think off to the side, yeah, that's where Paul and I were like, well, he's got some time and I got some time. Like, I would love to see what we can maybe write and just kind of dick around and see what's possible with that. And just the story, I kind of shared it in the introduction that was online for me coming back. But just, we were thinking about like, there was a lot of great momentum, especially now, like, after the band being completed and done, for Robinson, like, anything that comes out Robinson related, people would get super stoked about. They also had a great release, a re-release on Wax Vessel. So people were really jazzed about that and stoked about that. So, we talked about like, well, what would it look like, if that, beyond that album, it evolved and, also where you were in Not One Word Has Been Omitted, like, and that evolved into mixing them together and merging them together and seeing what, what that would sound like. And that's what we were doing. We came up together with about what, 2 songs, two pretty solid songs. And like Joe said, they were shared with them just to kind of hear, like, we were kicking around and it was like, okay, like, sounding heavy, sounding pissed, sounding pretty fun. And again, by all means, like that was just me off to the side, like having our thing with Paul, like and doing that. And then
Paul does not stop writing. He doesn't
yeah,
stop doing anything that's not like super creative. Like he could write a pop punk album if he wanted to right now. So that's kind of where
Yeah.
that came from.
he has though, hasn't he? Yeah, he has
Yeah,
wrote a
yeah,
pop punk
yeah,
album.
100%.
So yeah, I mean, like, it just, and then, the rest of the band hearing that. So, with how everything played out, just like the opportunity arose again to be like, hey, would you like to come back to this band? Like, I mean, I jumped at it. Like, I was super duper stoked for that. Super excited to be a part of the band again. And, almost like taking what we were already working on and being like, hey, let's not scrap this. Let's see what we can do with this, within From a Second Story Window as well. So there's some pretty fun stuff on the way for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was like crazy timing, well, with everything and this EP having a 20th anniversary that like
Yeah,
because I had messaged you guys, whoever, I don't know who runs Instagram, but I messaged you guys
Paul.
like
Paul.
way
Yeah,
okay, Paul. So I messaged you guys way early in the year. I was like, yeah, I kind of want to get this set up, but I don't know when, like when's the right time. And it just so happened I was like getting ready for some stuff, and then the announcement got made that you were coming back, and I was like, shit, this is like perfect timing. So I finally emailed him like 6, 7 months later, I guess, and
Mhm.
he
That's
answered
cool.
back. So yeah, it worked out. But it's crazy,
Yeah,
right? Like 20 years
Yep.
later, here we are. People still
100%.
do care.
Hmm.
People are super psyched, super for the new stuff. I mean, yeah, now
I mean,
you
that's
guys
how
can kind of
it,
just
it came
take
out
it at
half my
your,
life ago.
yeah,
I
right?
mean, I was 20 when it happened, and now I'm 40, so it's 20 years later. Like, yeah,
Man,
the middle of my life.
To think about that is insane. Like,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
it's the midlife
yeah, man.
crisis album.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, no, the piss
Aging
life crisis
metalheads.
album.
Yo.
Piss life crisis.
Yeah.
Even though we're not mad, it sounds like we're really
That
fucking mad.
that's actually the title of the EP. He just put it out there. That's what the new one is.
Play a snippet from your phone, or are we not allowed?
Play a snippet of what?
From your phone,
From my
or are you
phone?
using your phone?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even.
All right. See
Yeah.
ya.
Yeah.
Sorry. I
Because
failed. I
I'm
failed.
using my phone.
But yeah, I
Yeah, man.
mean, like just like without like just to say like it's definitely still from a second story window for sure. But it is fucking it is fun. It's real chaotic, real grindy parts still. There's just a lot that is I don't know, Joe. I mean, how would you explain it? Like it's
Well, the first thing that we're probably going to put out is it's. I mean, it's very much not much we've ever done as far as like consistency with being that sound. But then the other stuff we're working on too. Um, I mean, we tune to G now with these songs, and the other stuff is still super chaotic, super heavy, super blasty and stuff. But it also has like some just sludgy, trudgy, like fucking. I don't know. Like what was Paul saying? Like
trudgy.
like no, I don't know. I'm not verbatim saying what he said. I'm just saying like
No, I know.
just chaotic, super sludgy,
Yeah,
heavy, fucking doomy shit.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
It's the heaviest shit ever for sure that we've done.
yeah.
So that actually brings up something I was gonna ask that I forgot about. What were you guys tuned at, and what were the guitars? Do you remember what the guitars were on the EP?
Yeah, it was all A. Um,
A. Okay.
and I think that yeah, so it was drop A. We had 7 string guitar or 6 string guitars, so it was A E A D G A. That last one should be A E A D G B, but we did
Yeah.
A so that they could do some weird things. I don't know. Um, um, we used to tune to C, but that didn't work out. We tuned to A. There was something else I was going to say though about that tuning. Mm, yeah, it's always been A. Now
Okay.
we always had a problem with even with having ESP guitars, even with having thicker gauge strings, um, things not sounding. It sounded very messy. So before we started playing again, Paul and Rob bought baritone guitars, and those baritone guitars make everything sound so much fucking better. Like
Yep.
you can hear every string. I think we're the tightest we've ever been, even if we're moving around a lot. Not as much as we used to because we're older, but the baritone guitars really help out, and having great strings and everything. So yeah, so it was A.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah. The guitar tuning stuff is like because I play guitar, so I'm always interested in that. But man, you guys are going down to G, and you're on 7 strings now.
No, 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 no. Still,
Still six.
still, yeah,
Okay.
because they're baritone guitars. They can hold it.
Yeah. Damn man,
Yeah,
that's fucking
yeah.
sick.
And it's
Is
not
that what
like
the new song was in? The G?
yeah, the one
Okay.
we haven't done like released or anything yet. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Damn.
and it's not a flex or anything. It's like we're just trying new things.
No, no. I just
You
I'm
know,
interested in that stuff, so I think it's cool, like knowing what you guys are playing.
right? For sure.
So Sean, one last thing here.
Yeah.
Have you been like? I guess this is kind of a weird question as a vocalist, but like, do you keep up with any kind of like maintenance with your throat? Because I know There have been vocalists who've blown their shit out over the years. Like, how have you kind of maintained that?
Dude, that is a great question. Because like coming back to it, like, and I've talked to these guys about it as well. Like the vocal stylings I had on not one word, like I can't those lows and shit, dude, I don't it's hard for me to even do those lows anymore. Like it wrecks me.
Wow.
But so since then, like I've tried to, and I've been in some bands since I left from a second story window. I've been in some, you know, punky hardcore bands to like, really grindy bands. So I've like tried to see like what else I could do,
Yeah.
what else I could maintain. I still have like the cool highs. I
Yeah.
got those that from the EP. But just even taking some notes from other vocalists that I really like right now. I love Thou. A lot of people love Thou. Brian is probably
Oh yeah.
one of the most influential vocalists to me right now, and just like the intensity that he brings to each show, and those just those vocals are everything. Like I can watch them, like any live performance of them on YouTube for hours. And then even things like just recently, starting to listen a lot more of Full of Hell, things like that.
Yes.
Like, Dylan, also really great vocalist. So, these are the things that like I try to scream along to in my car and see like,
Yeah.
hey, what do I have left? What do I got for myself anymore? So I think that's kind of the maintenance. It's just like, on the way to work, kind of like what I did way back in the day when I started to figure out, hey, can I be a vocalist? Like, I can't do the shower screams anymore because my family will freak the fuck out. But, driving to and from work, like, especially with like the newer stuff that I was working on with Paula, which is now turning into From a Second Story Window stuff. That was where I was like, really trying to get back to like, do I still have that range? Do I still have that endurance to perform full songs like this?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I think you'll hear too on the new stuff. I'm gonna try some new things as well. Like, so like I was saying, like the lower register may be a little different for me now. Like it kind of sounds a little different. So it's definitely not gonna be what people are expecting from what they heard from before. But we all grow and we all
Yeah.
shape shift. So that's me too.
Yeah. I think that's like perfectly, your voice has evolved to a different point. So like I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if you could still do something from 20 years ago today.
Yeah. Some can
Unless
though.
you're
I mean, and
like,
hats off to him. Like I hear him and I'm like, holy shit, you can still pull that off. How the fuck are you doing that?
yeah.
Like,
I was gonna say Corpse Grinder. He's like the immediately who comes to mind. Like that dude's register has never changed.
oh yeah, yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, and another one too, like a person that I've always really, really loved to kind of see, and they have their own YouTube channel for this, was Phil from Whitechapel, and
Yeah.
and just like the stuff that he can do vocally and sonically, like I mean, oh my God. So like I would listen to him like explain like how he's doing that, like and just hear more from. I never thought I'd get on YouTube to find out like how to scream again, like shit like
Yeah.
that. But it was like he's his range and like what he can do for all the years that he's done it. I mean, it's inspiring, man, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, shit, dude. Those guys were like basically a local band for me, so I
Yeah.
saw them coming up, and it was fucking crazy to watch.
Oh yeah.
Um, all right, so that's pretty much everything I got as far as like talking about the album and everything. So, as far as like your guys' personal feelings on the album, how do you feel? 20 years on, we're still talking about it. Like, how does it kind of like when you reflect on it? Like, how does it feel to be a part of your life like that, having worked on that album?
Well, for me, we were young kids just writing music that we wanted to play. And the fact that people liked it and the fact that we could start our, you know, our, I don't want to say career, but like I'd start our, touring band person off of it, like, um, is really awesome. I look back at those songs and I feel very differently about them, even though we're relearning like mostly all of them. I
Yeah.
like them more. Like I started like the guys in practice can play in a river, but I'm learning it again because I don't remember most of it. Um, and hearing them play it now sounds way better than it's ever sounded before, so that's pretty cool. But for a long time, I just felt like the songs were so juvenile. I don't really love playing voodoo, but if people like it, who the fuck gives a fuck what I think? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to not play something because, like I want to play anything somebody likes. And if that's a part of their, I don't want to say childhood or whatever, or them growing up with music, put, got them through a tough time, or they broke some kid's nose at a fucking show because of it. Not that we condone violence, just, that kind of shit. Whatever it means to somebody else. Um, I want to keep that going. So like I'm down to play whatever. But yeah, after 20 years, the fact that people still give a shit, the fact that you were asking, you know, dudes from 20 years ago to talk about 20 years ago of your life, like, I
Yeah.
mean, that's insane to me. I mean, I love it. It's great. Um, but I sometimes I'm like, why? You know what I mean? And like I said, I mean, that's
Right.
just me being me. Like I don't know. I guess I didn't know how much it meant to people, I thought maybe you was just a band to march to at the time. And, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Your
I get
turn,
it.
Sean.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say something similar. I mean, like, even I think for me too, like just seeing even with the resurgence of like, of the band coming back and playing shows again, and soon as Nick goes right into like the voodoo felt like the start of the voodoo, like, I mean, just to see how people get so excited to that, like, I mean, that's awesome. Like just to be a part of anything like that, and just to know that, like, these young dumbs from 20 years ago like, all came together and made these songs that people,
Young, dumb, and full of.
yeah, full of, there it is.
Yeah.
C-U-M. So, it is pretty fun to see that. And still being able to travel states away, and people getting stoked about it, and coming up after shows and talking about it as well. I mean, that's something truly special. And like, I don't take, none of that, like, with a little, that means a lot. I mean, it does mean a lot to me every time someone does pop up, or has wanted to chat about, like, what was the inspiration for some of these songs, like you kind of heard today. Quick turnaround time for me. But just like to talk about like what was going on in that time frame back then, and like, how excited we were to play that then, and now again, like how excited we are to play that now. And just like, even me not being in the band and just seeing like the turnout and the I would say just like the intensity and energy at Furnace Fest, like that was awesome to watch. Like, holy shit, like just seeing everybody go ape for those fucking songs was really cool for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of why I do this, man. The history of everything is really important, I feel like, and getting these stories is kind of what like I've always been interested in. So, thank you for sharing that. That's the first
Yeah.
thing I want to say. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to what you guys put out in the future, man. It's
Cool.
gonna be awesome.
Hopefully you don't think it sucks.
All right,
Remember, Piss
I
Life
won't say it
Crisis
sucks.
EP.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think we're open minded with music nowadays, as I'm sure you guys are too. Like it's
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm just
100%.
happy to get anything from a band that hasn't played a show in I don't
And
know
if,
what
if you
2008. Or I mean, you guys are playing shows now, but
yeah, yeah,
back
yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, we broke up before that last album came out.
yeah. That was a tough time,
Yeah.
man. 2008 was
Yep.
fucking rough. That was when gas
It
was like
was rough.
$5, $6 a gallon.
We
Ugh.
did a tour of Darkest Hour from Halifax, Nova Scotia, above Maine, all through Canada, and then all through the States. And our guarantee that we said 100% yes to, it was with Misery Signals, Darkest Hour, versus the Mirror, and I think that was it. But yeah, we didn't. We said yes, and I mean, gas was $5 a gallon, and
Yeah.
I mean, we were losing money every night if we didn't sell shirts, but it was worth it, like 100% worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a tough time to be a band.
Yeah. That was when I did my first tour, man. And like I think the band that I was touring with, we were playing for like 200 $250 a night. No money after that
Yeah,
because it all went
yeah,
to gas.
yeah. Oh,
Man.
100%. Uh-huh. But if you ever have questions too that like are too nerdy for a podcast or too uninteresting for people to listen to, if you want to email me anything like gear
Yeah.
stuff or weirdest show thing, whatever. I mean, like, feel free to email me. I'll give you my contact info and everything. But
Yeah. Dude, I'm
you
down
know,
for all that stuff. Like I love
yeah,
getting like the nitty-gritty details. It's hard to find that
yeah,
stuff sometimes, man. I spend hours
Yeah.
like looking through books and everything, and it's just like, fuck, how do they not know when they you know what their tuning was for this song or whatever? Like, I don't know.
right, right,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I get it. It's a long time and it's hard to remember that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, I
sweet,
sincerely thank you for your time.
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you.
where can people find you and follow you on the internet? Because that's where everything is at nowadays.
You go first, Sean.
So most all things for us, of course, just at From a Second Story Window. The IG, the what else? We have now a TikTok. We're TikToking.
Oh
We
yeah.
got that shit going too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's being maintained. I think that's Paul as well. But yeah, Paul does
Okay.
shout out to Paul. Paul does a lot of things for this band when it comes to like online presence, media, like a lot of the things that you see promotionary for From a Second Story Window. So a lot of good stuff from him coming from that side.
Yeah,
Yep.
What's your
Paul's.
personal one?
Do you want my personal one? Oh,
Oh,
okay,
it's up to
yeah.
you. I don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
if
dude.
you guys
Oh,
want people to follow you, do whatever
It's
you want.
Scram Vandy for everything.
Okay.
Scram Vandy. And you know what? Sometimes I even get on, I play some video games on Kick, so you can watch me on there and
Oh hell yeah.
I scream in bands and I also scream at video games, get pissed at fucking video games. So you can watch that as well.
and mine's on Instagram at Joey Vomits. I think it's an S. You know what? You could get all of our personal one from the
Yeah.
second story window on there. And then
It is, oh yeah, it's on there.
yeah.
Cool.
Now my merch company is Zach Gorilla Joe Printing, but you know,
Fuck yeah.
yeah,
All right, guys. Yeah, man. I'm gonna stop this.
yeah. Can you see me?
I can't see you actually.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Sean, help!
Come on, dude.
Oh, there we go. Hold on.
You got this.
What about now?
There you go. There you go. Oh, shit.
Oh yeah. Come on.
God damn it.
Hell yeah.
You see, I brought
I
something
love
for
it.
you. You saw mine?
Pizza.
Oh shit.
Hell yeah, dude.